ground. And then we finish the nitrogen cycle, we go to the next gaseous cycle, we call it carbon cycle. As you remember, photosynthesis takes up carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, but cellular respiration produces carbon dioxide. So this is carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Cellular, not cell respiration, cellular respiration. Cellular. It should be adjective. Cellular respiration. So reservoir for the carbon, okay, dead animal, fossil fuel, big one, limestone and shell. What is limestone? Do you know? Limestone is basically calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate. Shell also has a lot of calcium carbonate. Human activity. We produce a lot of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Why? Because we cut down a lot of forests and we also use a lot of fossil fuel. Yes, not just our car, we have a lot of cars, but also the airplanes. Airplanes, they produces a lot of CO2. People, we may not be aware of it. Also, carbon dioxide is also one of the greenhouse gas. So not just nitric oxide, but also the carbon dioxide. They both contribute to the global warming. Fossil fuel, they are non-renewable energy, so if it is possible, try to use if you are rich enough, get the hybrid car or the electric car, Tesla. So fossil fuel contains a lot of carbon. For example, coal, 70 to 91%, oil, 85%, natural gas, same as oil, 85%. So most of the fossil fuel form in this carboniferous period. This is MYA, million years ago. Okay, million years ago. So these organic material, after the animal or plant they die, they were buried, but they are not completely decomposed. When they are not completely decomposed, they become the fossil fuel. So what happened? Okay, living material dies. Okay, and then they settle at the bottom of the sea, and then they are covered by the different layers of the sediment. So layers, they are compressed. So these kind of dead matter, they mix with other layer of sediment, and then continue to increase the pressure of the ground, and they also have the movement. So all these tectonic plate movement and increasing the pressure of the ground, it will cause the formation of the gas and oil, all different layers. So these are basically the decomposed of the primitive animal and plants. That's why they are carbon rich. So of course gas is on the top, and then you have oil at the bottom. And the non-porous rock trap the gas and the oil, so that that's why the gas and oil, they are underground. They're under the cap rock. The cap rock, they are the non-prosperous rock. So human activity, we already talked about this. We cut down a lot of forests, we use a lot of fossil fuel, and then we increase a lot of carbon dioxide in the air. That causes global warming. So you can see that, wow, we produce a lot of CO2 and we cut down a lot of forests, so that we don't have a lot of removal of CO2, but we have a lot of accumulation of CO2. And then we have all these kind of fossil fuel, coal, crude oil, and natural gas. If you pay attention to the back of our school, Wesley College, then you see there are lots of this. You see a lot of oil rig on the hilltop behind the school, and of course car produces a lot of CO2. Power plant, for example, the power plant in Torrance, they also produce a lot of CO2. And last but not least, airplane also produces a lot of CO2. So this is the summary of the carbon cycle. As you can see that, okay, of course we have carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, but majority of the carbon, they are actually on the ground, because on the ground all the living organisms, we are organic, then we have the carbon. So combustion contributes a lot of carbon dioxide, and then cutting down trees, deforestation, decrease the removal of the carbon dioxide. Photosynthesis is the major one. You have photosynthesis from the green plant on the ground. You also have they should draw a big arrow here. You have a gigantic photosynthesis here in the ocean. Gigantic photosynthesis. Majority of photosynthesis, they are done in the ocean. They're done in the ocean here. And then, of course, we animal release CO2 by cellular respiration. Animal and plant, they will do that. And then the decaying method, decomposition by the decomposer. By simply dying of the animal, they also produce carbon dioxide. So that's pretty much it. So global warming is basically increasing the greenhouse gases, so that these greenhouse gases trap the solar energy, the sunlight, the heat on the earth, and the heat cannot escape to the outer space. Then all the heat, they stay on the earth, then it increases the global temperature. So here is our prediction: 280 to 413. Bioaccumulation, concentration of pollution up food chain. Bioaccumulation, basically, that's one of the major arguments of vegetarian. They said that eating vegetable is a lot healthier because it doesn't have much of the bioaccumulation. If you eat animal on top of the food chain, let's say you eat an eagle or eat a shark, because on each trophic level, each trophic level accumulates certain amount of the contamination. If you eat animal on top of the food chain, you are basically eating all the contamination from all kinds of trophic level. That's why vegetarian propose that if we eat the producer, it will be relatively healthier. So as you can see that there is an inverted relationship between global temperature and carbon dioxide. The more carbon dioxide you have, the more positive the global temperature becomes. So red is carbon dioxide, blue is global temperature. As you can see that when you have more carbon dioxide on the Earth, then what happened? The global temperature will keep on increasing. That's why you see that there's no blue bar here. And there is a little bit of a carbon dioxide previously. From that, you can see that the relationship is inversely proportional, and so bioaccumulation pollutant. So originally, let's say algae, you have tons of algae. Each algae, they will just receive a little bit of the pollution, but shrimp eats algae. So after shrimp eats algae, then the multiple algae, they will get multiple pollution. After you eat all the algae, not all, well, some algae, then the pollutant will accumulate into the body of one shrimp. And then the fish, they can eat, we call it Arctic cod, they can eat multiple shrimp in order to fill their stomach. And then multiple shrimp, each shrimp, they have their pollution. So by eating ultimate shrimp, then it will group all this pollution together. So as you can see that the scale goes up like this. So the one that is affected ultimately is on top of the food chain, that means human being or polar bear. So polar bear eat all these fish, and those fishes, they eat the shrimps, and shrimps eat the algae. So what happens is that all these pollutant, they were accumulated and concentrated in the animal on top of the food chain. Okay, last slide. So human effect in general only 3: global warming, as we know that nitric oxide gas, and also the carbon dioxide gas. They are the greenhouse. They causes the greenhouse effect and increase the temperature. Bioaccumulation, as I told you that the pollution concentrate in the higher consumer, at the higher trophic level in the tertiary or those on top of the food chain. And then population growth, increasing human impact. When we have more human beings, then we will increase the human impact on the global warming and bioaccumulation. So the last factor here is basically contribute to the these two. So it is like what we call positive feedback.